Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Six Questions. This is the part of the show that you run, and you can turn it any way you want by just leaving those comments in the comment section down below. Today's edition of Six Questions is asked by MarkBoy316, and I would like to thank him for saying that the previous two Six Questions was good for his opinion. MarkBoy316's first question is, do you have any non-WWE DVDs like Ring of Honor, PWG, or TNA? I do not. I wish I did, but I don't. I want to get some Ring of Honor and TNA DVDs, and perhaps if you have any suggestions for DVD, other wrestling DVDs besides Ring of Honor, TNA, and WWE, besides being PWG, leaving down in the comment section below, and I will give it perhaps at least think about giving it a try. And if I do think about giving it a try, I will look about a little bit up on the internet on YouTube and think about getting some DVDs uh, for that promotion. I will be checking out PWG because I never heard of PWG. So I might get some PWG DVDs in the future. I know I'm getting some TNA and Ring of Honor DVDs because, well, just to let you know, I do have a wrestling DVD. Well, I have two different DVD lists. One is strictly for any wrestling DVDs, and I have technically three promotions on well, technically four if you want to count one separate from the other. WWE, ECW, and TNA, and Ring of Honor. And the only reason I say three, maybe four is depending if you want to count the ECW ones as a promotion by itself, because the DVDs was brought out started coming out when ECW was still in business. Moving on to MarkBoy316's next question: what two DVDs do you want to get in your collection? It would probably have to be I would have to say, technically, I would have to say three, because I don't have any of the three. So I might add one to your question, and that's the Tough Enough DVDs. And that's going to be in between the first season of Tough Enough, the $1,000 Tough Enough, and then finally behind Tough Enough, behind the scenes of WF Tough Enough, get technical. And moving on to the next question: did you ever go to any live events or pay-per-views? I did. I did go to live events, and I want to add, I did go to some TV shows as well. I went to live events, and then a Raw, and then I went to a SmackDown. And I still remember the dates to each one of them. Or to each live event and show. And just to tell you the events that I went to, my very first event was on April 27th, 2014, and it was a WWE live event, and I'd go with my cousin for that one. After this one, I did not go to it. I just went by myself. The second one was May 12th, 2015, and it was the SmackDown taping. Because at this time they didn't go live. SmackDown didn't go live until a little over a year later, and I believe July 2016, maybe 17. So it might be a year or two. But I see, and if you go back and watch, you can see when they're at some point, you can see when they're looking at when the commentators are talking, you can see a Daniel Bryan, one of the older Daniel Bryan shirts, one with that like gray Daniel Bryan shirt with his face on it and a box with the word yes on it, and that's me. I was directly behind the commentators in there for that show. I was like the fifth row on that one. And then moving on to the next event I went to was February 28th, 2016. Earlier in the day, I got to meet, at that time, Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley. And then later on, I had the event, or went to the event, and watched through the event, even seeing him wrestle that night. And I forgot to add that so far, that was a WWE live event as well. But all three of these events so far is at the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana. Every one of them is in Evansville, Indiana. But just the first three events is in at the Ford Center. Uh, uh, and the only reason I say is at the Ford Center is because of this next event that I went to. It happened on June 2nd, 2016, at the Old National Events Plaza, also in Evansville, Indiana, like I said. And it was a NXT Live. Next event was September 17th, 2016, at the Ford Center. From here on out, will be at the Ford Center. And it was a WWE Live event. And moving on to the next one was, and this event was the last one I went to. It was June 19th, 2017, at the Ford Center, and it was a live Raw I don't believe that you'll be able to see me because at the time my dad was watching the episode and he said that he didn't spot me, but and I haven't went back and watched the episode at all to on the WWE network to see if you can spot me. So if you want to go watch the June 19th, 2017 episode of Raw and to see if you spot me, go ahead, uh, watch, go ahead and watch it, and uh, and tell me if you spot me or not, because believe I was. I believe I was near the commentators. Yeah, I was right behind for the commentators on this one as well. Uh, and that episode of Raw was the one that Enzo Amore and Big Cass broke up more or less. It's the one that they found out uh, that Big Cass attacked Enzo backstage. Going into the next question, do you think Goldberg's streak should have been ended at Starrcade 1998? Yes, I do. I do think Goldberg's streak should have ended at Starrcade 1998. I just don't think that Kevin Nash was the right person to do that job. Because the only reason I say Goldberg's streak should have ended is because he defeated everyone there was to beat. So he needed to be defeated uh, at least one time. But I just don't think Kevin Nash should have been that guy. I think it should have been a up and coming superstar trying to make a name for themselves that Goldberg never beat and was going to be uh, hard for Goldberg to beat and have them face Goldberg and defeat Goldberg at Starrcade 1998. And Kevin Nash was already a established star at that time, so why would it help Kevin at all with his career? He didn't need to get to the next level. He was already at that level in his career. So I think it should, like I said, it should have been somebody uh, that their career it could have helped their career by defeating Goldberg, and also should have been someone that uh, Goldberg has never even faced, let alone beat. Uh, so it doesn't really make no sense, especially the way the match ended to me. Moving into the next question, do you believe the Undertaker's streak should have ended? And if you do, who other than Brock would have you like to see do it? Now, I thought about this way before I even started 6 questions, and I did want Undertaker's streak to end, and I still would like to send Undertaker's streak to end. I just don't think Brock Lesnar was the right guy. Say, come on, how would uh Brock? Why would that help Brock Lesnar's career? Seriously, it should have been someone younger, and that along with someone that could have defeating Undertaker at WrestleMania would have helped their career with. And looking at it, I think I honestly would have to say that Undertaker should have beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30, and then defeated everyone at WrestleMania up till 36, WrestleMania 36, maybe 37. Move on through 37, at least until 37, because 36 was AJ Styles. But I would, if I was going, here's how I would have booked. I would have had Brock Lesnar been beat by the Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. Had Undertaker beat uh, uh, Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. Uh, if then of course defeat Shane McMahon in the Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 32. And then defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33. Because it didn't help Roman Reigns' career anyway. Because if you think about it, he should, after that, because everybody booed him the next night for like 5 minutes on Raw. He should have turned heel after that. But so Undertaker should have won that match at WrestleMania 33, and then won at 34 against John Cena, even though everybody thought that he wasn't going to have a match. And then, of course, if he didn't want to have a match at WrestleMania 35, fine, go ahead. Because he didn't have one, to my knowledge, he didn't have one at WrestleMania 35. And at 36, have him win against AJ Styles, if and only if you wasn't going to have him, or if you had other plans for Bray Wyatt. And that's the person uh, I would have booked to have him uh, beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Instead of having him, I would, instead of having the Firefly Funhouse matches or match and the Boneyard match this year, I would have had the Fiend Bray Wyatt, not Funhouse Bray, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, take on the Undertaker, and have the Fiend Bray Wyatt defeat the Undertaker at WrestleMania 36. But on the other hand, too, with the pandemic, I probably would have had, and that's with the way have the Fiend defeating Undertakers if there was a crowd. But with the pandemic, I would have held it off until WrestleMania 37 next year, and then still had the Boneyard and Funhouse, of our Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania 36. And then next year, I would have had the Fiend Bray Wyatt face Undertaker and also defeat Undertaker. So I can have a crowd. So that would be a shocking. Get some of the crowd's reactions for it. Moving into the final question for this edition of 6 questions. Were you a Hulkamaniac, or did you like someone better like Macho Man or Warrior? I never really cared for Hulk Hogan at all. So, I would have to say, going in that time frame of like the 80s, leaning from the late 70s to the 80s, to the early 90s of WWF, I would say I liked Macho Man, Randy Savage. I even do a impression of Macho Man. I'm not going to do it here because it's not that good. But if you'd like to see it sometime, uh, I might, then I might do it if you like to see it. But if you want to see it, you had to ask for me to do it because I'm not going to do it unless I'm asked. I like going by the 80s. I like Macho Man, Big Boss Man, uh, Dino Bravo, and multiple others. I would have to look it up for all the superstars. It's just kind of hard to think of multiple others. Oh, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, uh, and then multiple others. Thanks for watching this edition of 6 Questions. Thanks for sending those questions in, Mark4316. Again, thanks for watching. If you want to hit me up on Facebook, you can just my name at on Twitter at Donnie Langston 5. I repeat, at Donnie Langston 5. And Twitter, Donnie Langston 5. Easiest way to get those get to my profile is go to my the main screen of my channel and then click the appropriate link where the banner is. So obviously it will say either Facebook, Twitter, or I have the Facebook logo or Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram logo on there. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.